So, one of my core values is freedom. And I've talked about this here before, and I know that many of you also deeply value freedom. And that's whether it's financial freedom, lifestyle freedom, geographic freedom, time freedom, whatever it is. And to me, freedom is a big part of wellness. It's difficult to be truly well in the broader sense if you feel like a prisoner in your life in some way. So, that's why I feel like anything that can help you to achieve more freedom, autonomy, independence, and agency in your life will help you to achieve that fuller picture of wellness that we are all striving for. So, today's conversation, I am chatting with a woman who specializes in helping people to build and grow product-based businesses, which in my book is helping people create freedom for themselves. This is going to be so useful for you whether you are already a coach and offering your services or whether you're simply looking for ways to improve your life and create more freedom for yourself. Because building a product-based side hustle or business or adding a product line to your already existing business, it can be an amazing way to leverage your time and create passive income streams and really create a whole new lifestyle for yourself. So my guest today is Katie Hunt, and Katie is the founder of Proof to Product. She's also a podcast host, a business strategist, and a community builder for product-based business owners. So since 2011, Katie has helped thousands of brands get their products on the shelves of retail stores, big and small. Her alumni's products are sold in Target, Nordstrom, The Container Store, Starbucks, as well as independent boutiques around the world. So Katie is a regular contributor to entrepreneur.com, and her work has been featured online in Forbes, New York Times, and BuzzFeed, just to name a few. So without further ado, let's get to my conversation with Katie. All right. Well, hey, Katie, welcome to the show.
Kim, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I am beyond excited to have you here today, and I can't wait for this conversation because I personally am really intrigued by the idea of product-based businesses. But I have to say, it's actually something that I don't really know a lot about. Many of the people in my audience are building service-based, like primarily service-based businesses in the wellness industry, so like coaches and consultants and things like that. But I certainly know that many of them are intrigued by the idea of adding a product line to their offerings. And then I, of course, have other people in my audience who aren't necessarily coaches, but are definitely looking for ways to improve their lives and create more freedom for themselves and their families. And, for many people, starting up a product business might be exactly the right thing for them. So for all of those people, I'm really excited to hear what you've got to share with us and, about whether this is like the right thing to do and also some gems on how to get started, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I'm an open book. I'm happy to talk about all of it.
Awesome. Okay, so let's give our audience just a bit of context first. So I would love for you just to introduce yourself and just tell us about the work that you're doing in the world right now.
Yeah. So, hey, friends, my name is Katie Hunt. I run a business called Proof to Product, and I coach product-based business owners on how to get their products on the shelves of stores. So, my clients sell to Target and Anthropologie, Container Store, Starbucks, like lots of big name stores that you've probably seen their products lining the shelves of. But they also sell to independent shops around the world. So, that's like the mom and pop shops, the one-off stores in your neighborhood. And so, we teach them how to do that. But with that, we're teaching them how to create a solid product line, what sales tools they need in place, and then how to approach those stores to really create strong relationships for a long-term partnership, if you will. Many of our students also sell what we call direct to consumer. So that's selling from our business straight to the end consumer who's going to use the product and gift the product. And that's a whole different business model, but we also work on teaching that as well. So I've been doing this for like 11, 12 years now. We've worked with thousands of brands and I just love it.
That's awesome. And so exciting. Like that's such an awesome for people who are maybe right at the beginning of this journey. It can certainly sound pretty exciting to have your product like on the shelves of the stores that you shop in right now. Like
yes,
that's got to be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, everyone comes in with very wide eyes about, oh, I have this dream store. And I always love to hear them talk about that because you can hear the excitement, the energy level, the passion for what they create and make. Most of our people are artists and creatives. However, we're seeing more and more people jumping into this product-based space that have no art background or anything. It's just that they had a problem that they needed solved and they figured out a solution through a product. And so there's a lot of different ways to enter this space. And we're going to talk about some of those today.
Definitely. I love that. I love that it doesn't have to, you don't have to be just one kind of person in order to enter this kind of space, is that it's available for all kinds. So and you don't have to have a particular background or any of those kinds of barriers. So I love that. That's
Yeah,
really
but it
exciting.
is, to your point earlier, though, it is very different than running a service-based business.
Hmm.
With a service-based business, we're usually promoting ourselves, our services. We're promoting the results of our clients or what we can do for them. With a product, it's a very different process of how we market, how we sell. It's more of an emotional purchase, and not to say that services aren't an emotional purchase as well, but it's fascinating, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, so I'll let you guide the conversation to what you want it to be.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, some good stuff in there. I know we're going to get to some of that stuff. So, okay, well, let's just start by helping people to figure out if this is the right business decision for them right now. Like, what are some of the different reasons why you would want to develop a product line? Like, what are the specific benefits for somebody?
Yeah. So, adding products to your current business model can have a lot of benefits. Right now, more than ever, we do need to be thinking about diversifying and also how we can serve our existing clients better. And so, if we already have a service based business, we need to think through what else can we do to better support these folks. And sometimes that's a product, sometimes that's giving them
Mhm.
something tangible that will help them go further with the coaching you're providing, or if you have a membership, like how can they utilize your membership more using a product that you create? But I also want to be very honest here that starting a product based business can be very intensive. It
Mhm.
requires cash flow for inventory. It requires you to set up a different sales channel typically. Most of the coaches and service providers don't have an e-commerce platform to their website, so that would need to be built out. So there's a lot of different reasons to do this, but I also want people to proceed cautiously in thinking through all the steps that go into it. What I would like to share here are a couple of examples of service based businesses that have implemented product in a really great way.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, that'd be
one
great.
of Okay, great. One of them is Lindy Well. It's a yoga membership that's run by Robin Long, and she added merchandise using a drop shipping company. It's called Print on Demand. So she
Mm.
has what she calls the sisterhood. It's her, I think it's still called the sisterhood. It's a membership though that where new courses, new yoga activities, exercises are dropped into the membership on a monthly basis. People can watch and do the exercises at home, and they call all their members the sisterhood, I think is what they call it. And so Robin had a number of different products created with just the same key phrases. One was sisterhood, I think, and then one had another like tagline for her business. And she had those phrases hand lettered by another artist. So again, we don't need to be
Mhm.
the one creating the art on these
Right.
things. And
Mhm.
then she applied those to, I believe it was towels and tank tops. I think she had
Mm.
hats. So thinking through who her customer was for this yoga membership and the types of products that they might need to either enhance their workout in the membership or just to promote the fact that they were part of this membership, that community aspect of it. And so Robin used what we call print on demand service. So she shared the art files with a company, and she loaded the products under a website. And when people go to her website and purchase one of those items, the order is sent to the print on demand company who will
Mhm.
create the product. They'll ship the product out. And Robin and her team never have to actually handle any inventory or send anything out.
Mm,
So
that's
that
amazing.
right? And that's just one example of how people in the service side of business are kind of layering in products. And there's ways to do that through these print on demand companies where you don't have to have a ton of cash in inventory and you don't have to actually be the one shipping out orders, because that's the part that gets a little cumbersome for most people when they're thinking about getting involved in a product based business. They have ideas, they have solutions. Maybe they've even been able to source whatever product it is that they want to sell. But then the customer service, the logistics of sending orders, that feels very cumbersome to most people when they're starting out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a big barrier for people to even think of like, I don't know anything about this. My area of expertise is like serving my community and, whatever that is, but not so much in like you said, all the logistics and inventory and all of that kind of stuff. So it's
Yeah.
great to know that there are easier solutions to that whole process so that you don't have to, turn yourself into a factory with you're doing all the
Yeah.
logistics and everything yourself. So that's a
My
great example.
Sorry, Kim, I didn't mean to interrupt you
That's
there.
okay.
I wanna kinda carry this Lindywell example a little bit further
Okay.
into this. I think the next step in this is that we really need people to start out small and be strategic. One of the other misconceptions I see when people want to start a product-based business is they want to sell it all. They wanna have a huge product line. They want to, have T-shirts and sweatshirts and hats and all the things, right? And what Robin did very well is she used the same piece of art. So she hired somebody to do 1 or 2 key phrases. She started small and she put it on, I think at first, maybe like 3 to 5 different products. So she did not have this extensive product line that was, multiple dozens and dozens of SKUs. She started small and she tested the market to see what resonated with her customers, what they were interested in. And that does a lot of thing that benefits us in a lot of ways. One, again, that market research, we can test the market. Two, we're not spending a ton of money on licensing art from others or kind of creating what that product looks like, right? And then three, it allows us to even see if this is something we want to do more of. So we can dip our toe in, we can start marketing it to our audience. And if it works, we can always expand on it or we can keep it where it's at. So starting small and being strategic with the types of products that we offer is really a key factor here that will benefit someone for the long run and also help them avoid burning out. I think
Mm.
in all facets of business, whether we're doing service or products, if we try to do too much, we tend to burn out. So we also want to avoid that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there is certainly a real danger for people in getting caught. I mean, in any avenue of business, like for getting just caught up in that spiral and getting really excited because we all have tons of ideas and things. But yes, like you're saying, trying to sell all the things is not a great idea. Have you seen examples of where that has gone really sideways for people?
Yeah. Yes, and I don't wanna name names because I don't
No.
wanna shame anyone,
No,
but
of course not.
and that's not I don't wanna be critical, but I think all of us have overextended ourselves at
Yeah.
different times, and with a product-based business, the most common mistake I see there with overextension is they're trying to create and sell too many product categories. So what I
Mm,
mean by that is they want to do candles and they want to do stationery goods and they want to do jewelry and they want to do apparel rather than maybe like talked about starting small, being strategic, picking one, maybe two of those product categories and going
mhm,
deeper in
mhm,
terms of the number of variations they offer within that. We call those SKUs. And
mm.
so I think when folks are just starting out, one of the mistakes people make is they go wide. And so, rather than deep in a product category, I hope that makes sense. But,
That does, yeah.
okay, good.
Right. So, okay. So categories would be like, there would be like skincare or
Mhm.
essential oils or like some like a food product or, or
Yep.
apparel. Like those are all very different categories. And within each of those categories, there's lots of different things. You called them a SKU, like
Yep, a SKU
SKU
is the
or,
item number. It's
oh,
SKU,
yeah.
and it's the item number. And basically, the SKU, the SKU is it's an internal number that you set just so
Hmm.
that you can keep track of what products you offer.
Right.
It comes into more in play when you're selling wholesale to stores. It's not so much important when you're selling direct to consumer, B2C, but
Yeah.
it is important that we stay organized when we're selling products. So yeah, that would just be the item number and we would want to do more SKUs in a specific niche or product
Hmm.
area, product category rather than going wide to begin. We can always layer in new things. We can always add more later, but like let's
Yeah.
start small, be strategic, see what works with our audience, see what works with our customers and what they're drawn to, and then we can expand upon that.
Yeah.
Now, I know too, Kim, we've only talked about physical products thus far, but the part 3 of this whole plan is really assessing whether or not the right move is physical products
Hmm.
or digital products. We haven't talked about that yet, or it
Yeah.
could be a combination of two. So I wanted to give another example. One of my good friends and clients runs an event planning company. It's called Roar Events. And she added a layer of digital products
Hmm.
and also some physical products to her suite. So her main offer, her main thing that she sells are her event planning services. She does very large corporate events. But tied to that, she started to see that others in the industry needed professional development, that they needed support in different ways. She knew that she had unique experiences to share. So she built that into some checklists that she sold, a larger course that she created, really as a mode to very seamlessly share her experience without having it to be live, like live teaching and coaching. And so that's another option too. Someone could do physical products like we talked about with a print on demand service and keep that simple, or they could even do digital products like checklists or courses or things like that.
Yeah, I love that. I love the expansion of the concept of products to not just like, because of course we usually think of like, yeah, physical thing like a candle or, bag or like hat or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, digital products too. Courses would fall into that category. I guess really anything that you're not needing to put your time into, like a one-to-one or even a group or something like that, but like it doesn't require your time. It's a product that somebody can just purchase,
Right.
download, maybe like digital products, like you said. I mean, like meal plans would certainly fall into that category, recipe
That'd be a great
books,
one.
or, all kinds of things. There's tons of different options, especially even just within the wellness industry.
Yeah.
And then the advantages of that, like talk to me about the advantages of a digital product versus a physical product.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly what you said. It's not the one-to-one relationship where we're exchanging the time and knowledge for the money. It's really we're creating this one asset one time. We can make updates later if we want to,
Yeah.
but we're creating this asset one time and with the mindset that it's going to help many people and that it's going to relate to many of the people already in our existing audience. So you were talking about the wellness stuff. So maybe somebody has a guide to using essential oils, or maybe they have, like you said, the meal planning, or maybe someone has a recipe book, like and it can all be
Hmm.
digital. It
Yeah.
could be a PDF that you share with them. It could be a pre-recorded video showing you how you prepare the meal or showing someone how you prepare the
Mm.
meal. It could be a number of things, and now more than ever, folks are getting so much more creative with video and, even short form video. People are paying for that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, even though
Yeah.
it's I think a misconception in the digital product side of things is that it has to be big. It has to be a very long PDF, or it has to be a very robust course, when in actuality, most people are looking for quick wins. And so
Totally.
if we can give them a one-page checklist, if we can give them a four-step process, if we can give them a quick video to watch that will get them to that next step that they need to, or enhance what we're already doing in terms of our work with that person, that will enhance what we're already, it will enhance the work we're doing and it'll give them that win. So,
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing when it comes to value because yes, as creators, we think, okay, I've got to put more into this. I've got to do more to in order to justify the value and the price and all that kind of thing. But to a
yeah.
consumer, the value is so often in like I don't have time to go through all of this stuff. Just give me the
Yes.
short and sweet, the curated, the really high value stuff that's not going to take a ton of my time. That's actually more valuable to people than
Yeah.
giving them a ton of things that they're going to have to like read and watch and learn and pour through like that. So I love that you mentioned that because I think that that's a real challenge or something that can reassure a lot of people out there who are thinking, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
if I have to create something, I'd have to create something huge in order for it to be worthwhile for people to purchase. But that's definitely not true. That just doesn't play out. And that's what I've seen anyway. And I wonder if that's what you've seen too, Katie.
No, I agree 100% with you. I think that really it's about reflecting on the end goal. What are we trying to accomplish for our customers? So if it's a digital product, we want to help them create action. We want them to have a quick win towards the next thing in their business or their life. We
Hmm.
want to solve a problem for them. And to your point, everyone's so busy. We want to make it an easy thing for them to implement. So on the digital product side, the results or the outcomes are really what we need to be focused on. How is this thing that we're creating, this product, this digital product, going to create that change for them? And then on the physical product, a lot more of the physical product side, it either ties to the community component of making them feel included and involved and recognized and seen,
Mhm.
or it's solving a problem for them. So, I don't know, my cup got too hot, so I needed this koozie thing around it or
Right.
whatever it might be. I'm just making that up. But my point is we're thinking about the outcomes. We're thinking about the end goals that these items are going to have on our audience because honestly, if we're just making things to make things,
Mhm.
we're not excited to talk about them. We won't market them. They will just kind of sit there. And so if we're making things with an end goal of impacting people's lives in a positive way or solving a problem they have or making them feel connected as part of a community, they're going to be intrigued. They're going to want to buy that. We're going to want to talk about it. We're going to want to share their stories. And so I do really think that like we need to reflect on the end goal when thinking about digital or physical products as well.
Yeah, I think that is really important to think of it like as an outcome. What's the outcome or the result that your customers want? But I think it's also important, and I think that this you were starting to get to this too, is like
Yeah.
whenever you're starting any new venture, just to be really clear on your own why and your own goals. Like, can you talk
Yes.
to me about the goals that people might want to keep in mind before considering selling products, like before adding a product line or starting off in, launching a new product-based business? Like, do you think it's important to define your goals before getting started?
100% yes. Anytime we layer something into our lives, whether it be our business or just our personal lives, we need to have a clear intention behind that.
Mhm.
For something like adding products, physical or digital, we want to think about what our overall objective is there. Are we trying to earn more money so that we can have a freedom-based lifestyle? Are we trying to earn more money so I can pay for my kids' orthodontics
Yeah.
bill?
Right.
Also it could be that like, do I want to do this so that it's elevating me as a thought leader in my industry? Do I
Mhm.
want this to help with my clout, so to speak, in my
Yeah.
career? Maybe, and we've seen this a lot in the last couple years, maybe we want to add this product because we want to diversify our revenue streams and
Mhm.
not have all of our income tied to one source. And maybe it's a bit of all of the above that we're thinking about when we're making these decisions. And obviously, all of your listeners are going to have a different take on this and different motivations for why they would want to expand into physical or digital products. But ultimately, we need to look at what our lifestyle is and how we want to be living our life day to day and how something like this could enhance our lives, but also make smart choices in how we implement and execute that so that we are staying true to the why of why we started this.
Yeah, absolutely true. And you're right. Like, we're all different, right? We all have different reasons why we might want to consider this, but it's so important to just get really clear on why you're even considering adding a product line or starting a product
Yeah.
business, so that that will help you when you get to all the decisions that are going to have to come afterwards. Just it'll help you to just be clear. Okay, well, my big why of why I'm doing this is X, and so that's actually that makes that decision easier, because it's more in service of that why. So, yeah, I love
It
that.
it also helps us as we hit roadblocks, as we
Yeah.
continue developing. When we hit roadblocks or hurdles and we're like, "Gosh, why am I doing this in the first place?" You can go back to, "Wait, I started this because I wanted a freedom lifestyle. I wanted the extra finances. I wanted to create more connection within my service-based clients." Reflecting on that why helps us continue to move forward. And I will say too, sometimes our why changes, and
Mm.
that's okay too. And if our why changes, maybe something like a digital product is no longer needed in our business and you can discontinue that. But I guess my point is just like reflecting on that why helps you as you continue to grow as a business owner and make shifts and changes, whether that's expansion or even contraction.
Yeah, agreed completely. I wanna circle back to something that you had said kind of earlier
Yeah.
about, like, it was along the lines of buyer psychology, like, the differences
Mhm.
between when somebody is purchasing a service from you, if you're a coach, consultant, something like that, versus what motivates somebody to buy a product. Like, can you dig into that a little bit more and tell me a bit more about that?
For sure. Yeah. So, let's talk specifically about physical products and then we can kind of parlay the convo
Yeah.
into digital. But when it comes to physical products, what I'm constantly telling our clients is when we're selling direct to the consumer,
Mhm.
we are selling to the person that is either using our product, gifting our product, they're buying it for someone else in mind, but it is much more of an emotional purchase for that consumer than something like selling to another business. When we sell B2B, that's where we're thinking about, the ROI on this investment
Yeah.
or, how this folds into the rest of my business. But when we're selling direct to the consumer, it is an emotional decision. They're thinking about how this candle smells. What kind of memories are evoked from this chocolate bar that I purchased? They're buying that tank top for Lindy Well because they want to feel a part of the community and connected to others in that community. So there's a lot more personal, emotional decisions that go or considerations rather that go into that decision making process. Whereas when we're selling services or when we're selling even digital products to some extent, if that's well, I take that back. If it's a B2B relationship,
Yeah.
we are mostly selling the outcomes. We're selling the solutions. We're selling the results that are going to come from it. Um, I would say too on the digital product side, it's kind of the same. If we're selling B2C and let's say we're doing those meal planning kits, we're selling the outcome, but also we're selling the ease, we're selling the shortcuts, the saving time, the feelings behind like if I have this meal plan, my life is going to be easier. Tonight's dinner is going to be a lot simpler. I know what I'm going to be shopping for at the grocery store. So there's again that emotional connection of like this is solving a problem and
Mhm.
it's making my life easier, but it is a more emotional thing than a B2B sales process in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I can completely understand that. I was also thinking about the differences between like if you are, let's say you're a coach and you offer services, but you also have a product line,
Yeah.
um, that you're kind of serving. I mean, a lot of that will be the same person who's buying both of those things.
Mhm.
But I would think, and tell me what you guys have seen, but get a little bit of a different personality type, maybe somebody who's
Mhm.
purchasing a service like a coaching package. They're going to, because that from their perspective also takes time, effort,
Yep.
like they have to show up, they have to do the work, versus a product purchaser might be of a different maybe stage in their journey or a different mindset about like buying a thing, because I think you mentioned ease too, right? And I feel
Mhm.
like maybe that plays into things too. Like a product feels like, okay, I can just buy this tangible thing and this is going to help me get where I want to go. And I don't have to go through all of the like coaching and service and like all of that kind of stuff. But tell me if I'm like
Yeah.
along the right track or not.
Well, Kim, I'm chuckling a little bit because I just had this conversation with my coaching clients about there is no easy button in business.
Yeah,
No amount of coaching or checklists or courses or programming will fast forward your business. Like it really just ultimately takes doing the hard work. And I'm sure you can agree with
totally.
that.
Yes.
And so, it requires hard work and all of that. But I will say, to your point about the emotion, the ease, we all want that. Whether we all want ease, we all want simplicity, we want fast results. I think the difference is some people are some people are willing to pay for that
Hmm.
and pay a premium for more ease, whereas there's other customers that won't. Like, it's kind of where
Yeah.
you'll have the people that are willing to pay for the coaching because they wanna fast forward their success. They know that will fast forward their success. They still have to do the work, but they know it will fast forward being in the same room with the right people.
Hmm.
And then there's other people that may want that do-it-yourself digital product. Then maybe they don't have the budget for the higher level coaching. Maybe they don't have the time to invest in a larger coaching
Yeah.
program. And so I think too, it's not so much the psychology, but it's just more of the place in their life of what they need, how they learn, and also budget and time commitments too, I think play a lot into that. So, I'm a coach too, and we have a multitude of different things. We have a ton of free resources through our podcast and on our website. We have a free resource library. And then we have smaller paid programs and, do it yourself things that they can do on their own. Some of them are videos like we talked about or checklists and things like that. And then we have higher level programs. And my goal with that, just sharing my own personal experiences here, is to meet people where they are
Hmm.
at in their buying decision. And so that we can offer them something that can help to hopefully push them to that next level, to the point where at some point they may be ready to work with us. And I think the same is true for the coaches in your space too. And whether that, they have the free resources, maybe they have some lower price digital or physical products in their product mix, and then they have their higher level services. I think they all very much flow nicely together
Yeah.
and allow people to meet their customers where they need help most in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. I think that that's what I was trying to get at is like by offering different types of things like services and products, you are serving different people who are at different stages, like you said, or
Hmm.
different needs, and you're meeting them where they're at because some people are looking for a product, some people are looking for a service. Like so, you're going to be serving different segments of the market that you might not have really been properly servicing before, just in terms of an advantage to adding a
Yeah.
product line to what you're already doing. So, yeah, I love
And
that.
to your point before, you know, by offering some free things and offering some low price things, you're building that relationship and you're
Mhm.
letting them know that I'm here when you're ready for that next step. So it's a longer lead time to the ultimate sale of hopefully getting them into your higher level things.
Yeah.
But having those lower priced items, it nurtures them. It lets them know, it gives them a taste of what they can expect from you. And again, too, some of this is tied to like building community too, and making people feel connected. So sometimes that's the purpose of the product, and it really does fill a need.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's say that somebody is, feeling really intrigued by this whole idea, can see the
Yeah.
value, they understand the how this would kind of slot into their business, or if they don't have a business yet, like starting to think about developing a product line. What's the
Yeah.
very first thing that somebody needs to do? Like what is step number 1 after they finish listening to this or watching this? What are they doing to continue to explore and to take the next step in terms of moving towards developing a product line?
Yeah, I would really truly think hard about if you already have an audience, if you already have a business, think hard about who that audience is and what types of complementary products, physical or digital, would help them best. What would
Mhm.
serve them and help them get to the next level so that they can get closer to working with you next. Um, if we're talking about somebody that is just at home and they don't necessarily run a business, the best path for them would be thinking about things that they enjoy and that they like, because and that they might want to make and sell, because when we're excited about the products we create, and if we have some relevant experience using that product, it is much easier to sell that to friends, family, the general public at large. And so if someone doesn't already have an existing business and they want to do physical products, I would encourage them to study up on print on demand. I would
Mm.
encourage them to keep it simple, like we talked about, and start small. I do have some resources about print on demand on our website at prooftoproduct.com. But my point is, if you don't currently have a business, I would look at print on demand physical products or some sort of digital product that, again, tie back to your own experiences, your own solutions that you've utilized in your own life, because again, that will make it easier to sell when you start to promote it. And if you have an existing business, I still want you to be excited about it, but I
Yes.
mostly want us taking a look at you have data points. If you have an existing business, you have data points that someone who doesn't have a business is lacking. And so
Yeah.
if you have the business, you can look at who your current audience is. What are their needs? How could you fill that um, how could you fill their bucket with other options that still relate to the bigger things that you talk about on a regular basis? So that is where I would start, depending on who your listener is and where they're at in this stage.
Yeah, that's such great advice. It's such a good solid starting point. And I was thinking like for people who do have an existing business and have an audience, not I would say not just thinking about like what does your audience need, but maybe even asking them, like putting out a
Mhm.
poll or, if you've got a few ideas, like I used to, when I was developing new stuff, I always used to kind of keep it very much like behind the curtain as I was like tinkering away on my new ideas.
Right.
But in recent years, I've started to involve my community and like I'm thinking about this, what would be most helpful for you? And it's a cool thing because I think it also has the benefit of people feeling a bit of buy-in in helping you to create the next new thing that is going to help them.
Kim, I love that idea. I was the same way when I started my business. I was like tinkering behind the scenes, and then I would roll out the red carpet and be like, here it is, guys. And I think that it is so much better to involve our audience in those decisions
Yeah.
because they will tell us exactly what we want to know. And it doesn't have to be a big formal survey. You don't have to
Right.
send out a lengthy survey to your audience. It could be in your Instagram stories, just, hey, do you like A or B? Or, hey, would you use something like this? And it's a slide over poll for them to vote. Like, we can keep it real simple, real fun, but also gather really great data about
Mm-hmm.
what our audience is needing and wanting from us and how we can then very intentionally fold in the things that work for us into that. Because I think the other thing is a lot of folks are out there creating things that their audience is asking for, but maybe it doesn't fit into our business model or what we want to be creating. So that's where that excitement piece I talked about earlier,
Mm.
we want to make sure it's in alignment with us and the business as well as our audience.
Yeah, I feel like it has to be that Venn diagram thing of like something that your people want, but also something that you want to create and you're
That's a
excited
great
about it
analogy.
and it fits in. So yeah, because there's endless ideas, right? And so we could do all kinds of
Oh,
different
yeah.
things. But if you really like at those early stages, especially before you get too far down the rabbit hole of like committing to things, really taking some time to make sure that your idea is in alignment with what the market is looking for and what you
Yes.
are feeling really passionate about producing and putting out there and folding into your own business. So, or your life, really,
Absolutely.
like not just business, but life too.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I mean, do you wanna look at this journal that you're creating every single day? I mean,
because you're going to
again, it
be.
doesn't have to be exactly, and it doesn't have to be that way. There are these other solutions, some of which I shared here, but, if we're gonna make a commitment to doing something like a digital product or even or particularly a physical product, we wanna make it with the intention that we're gonna do it for a while. It's not just something that we're gonna test, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you can always change your mind later, but also we wanna go into it with intention and purpose.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. Okay. So, I mean, this has just been so incredibly valuable, Katie. I'm really excited to hear also what my community comes up with as they start to develop product lines and, just using like these starting points that you've given us. So, before I let you go though, of course, tell us where people can go to learn more about you and connect with you and all of those things.
Thank you, Kim, so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, people can find me at prooftoproduct.com. We hang out mostly on Instagram at proof to product. It's all one word. And then our
Okay.
podcast is a very rich resource that you can tap into. We have over 300 episodes, and we've talked about a lot of different things tied to building a business, building a product based business. And I encourage you to check that out. We're at Proof to Product on all of the different podcast platforms.
Perfect. Okay, I'll put those links in the show notes in the description box so that people can just easily hop over there and find you there. So, thank you so much again, Katie. This has been just fantastic. I hope you enjoyed sitting in on my conversation with Katie. I would love to hear your thoughts on the ideas that she shared. And I'm really curious, do you have a product line that you sell right now? Or is this something that you're thinking about doing? I would love to hear your product ideas. Tell us what you're thinking about creating and selling and what your plans are. So if you're watching on YouTube, then just drop me a comment below this video. Or if you're listening to the audio of this episode, then find me on Instagram and let me know. I would love to hear from you and I would love to continue the conversation. Okay, that is a wrap for today. Have a wonderful week and I will see you again very soon.